Welcome back to Comic Book History. Yeah, I haven't done one of these since November. Yeah, last one I did was basically my own tribute to Stan Lee. This one I'm talking about the history of the character Venom, making his first appearance back in a cameo back in Amazing Spider-Man 299. And this I found to be interesting though. He made his debut the same month I was born. Yep. Now, before I get to Venom himself, I should talk about the two things involved with Venom. First of which, the symbiote, making its first appearance back in Secret Wars number 8, created by Jim Shooter and John Byrne. Yep. Grabbed onto Spider-Man. Basically, Spider-Man was the host of this thing for about 2 years. Yep, for about 2 years he was the host of the Venom symbiote. Though this was the case up until, I think it was a couple years ago when they kind of retconned that. But he was, for publication-wise, he was the first host. Yeah, and from what I looked up online, apparently this particular suit got mixed reception, and Spider-Man himself didn't exactly have the suit for very long. Yeah, in the Amazing Spider-Man comic book, he had good for about a year, and then, of course, at the start of the Web of Spider-Man comic book, he got rid of it in that iconic scene of him in that church and ringing bells and ripping the suit off, which would serve as inspiration for one of the scenes in Spider-Man 3. And a scene in the Spider-Man cartoon from 1990s. Oh, and by the way, a lot of Venom's early appearances are in fact collected in... I will get to basically how Marvel's collected him over the years. Eventually, after Spider-Man lost the symbiote due to the fact that Peter Parker was under the assumption that the symbiote was controlling his personality, and he wanted to get rid of it as quickly as possible. He got rid of it thanks to a sonic blaster. Yes, a sonic blaster. Yeah, it's basically this big, huge gun that was invented back in the 80s. This thing is very rarely used in the comics. I mean, I think the most recent time they may have used it was back in the Carnage ongoing series, which I'll get to that soon. Yep, first removed by Mr. Fantastic, and then, it's gone for a little while, and then it goes back to Peter for a little bit, and then gets removed, and it's implied in Web of Spider-Man number 1 that the symbiote was in fact destroyed. Not the case for a good couple years. And in Web of Spider-Man number 18, something really weird happens to the issue. Peter Parker nearly gets run out by a frickin' train. Yeah, there was this person, they don't identify who this in the issue, where he pushes Peter Parker on the tracks. Luckily he was able to avoid being run out by frickin' tracks. This by far wasn't followed up with until the Venom's debut in Amazing Spider-Man 299 in a cameo. He has first full appearance in issue 300, which the cover has been homaged many times over the years. Now, the character himself, Venom, was created by Dave Michelini, who is a frequent long-time creator of Marvel Comics, and the guy is also noteworthy not only for creating Venom, but for also writing a lot of Iron Man stories. I'm sure my friend Edgar basically considers him one of his favorite Iron Man writers because he wrote a ton of Iron Man stories, and of course the guy was a regular Spider-Man writer anyways. Tom McFarlane, of course, gave Venom his iconic look, but if you think about his tongue and the stuff that comes out of it, that was not done by Tom McFarlane. That was done by Eric Larson of all people. Yes, Eric Larson, which, by the way, he's actually come back to Marvel to do something with Venom. Yeah, he's coming back to Marvel for some reason. I don't know why, but he is. Yeah. So, from after issue 300, Venom becomes a recurring character in the Amazing Spider-Man comic book for the next about 3 or 4 years. And then eventually, he makes a deal with Spider-Man to basically save each other's hair. And that leads into the first Venom miniseries written by Dave Michelini with artwork by Mark Bagley and Rob Lem, called Venom Lethal Predator, which is loose inspiration for the Venom movie, which I will talk about that later. Yeah, this started a string of miniseries, starting from 1993 to 1998. First, we have Venom Lethal Protector, like I said, written by Dave Michelini, artwork by Mark Bagley and Rob Lem, with Al Milgram on the inking. Next one came with a one-shot called Death Trap the Vault. Yeah. And then after that, we have Venom Funeral Pyre, which has him teaming up with the Punisher. Now, the second main series was not done by David Michelini. No, when it comes to David Michelini and his involvement with Venom, after Lethal Predator, he would not get involved in Venom again until about 2 years ago. Yeah, he basically stayed away from Venom. He did other things. He didn't write a single Venom story until Venom 150, which I will get to that later. Yep. Now, Death Shop the Vault, that was drawn by Rob Lem, who basically did the previous miniseries, and of course you have Danny Fagor, who was by far, I think this is the only time he's ever done a Venom book. Fear Empire is written by Carl Potts and artwork by Tom Lyle. Al Milgram is once again involved with the artwork for the inking for this thing. This was a 3-issue miniseries published in 1983. Yep, and of course, team with the Punisher, which was a quite interesting idea to do. Team with him with the Punisher. I mean, why not? They were big in the 90s, so why the heck not? Venom the Madness, which is written by N. Nocenti and artwork by Kelly Jones. Yeah, which involves basically Venom going against the Juggernaut. I read this miniseries, and don't get me wrong, Kelly Jones is one fantastic artist. I just didn't think he fit Venom. Yeah, he made Venom look so weird. I mean, he drew the Juggernaut really good. It says Venom, the way he drew Venom was so bizarre. Yeah, it's not terrible artwork in the miniseries, but it's exactly something to write home about. Yep. And then we have End Within by Bob Jones. Bob McLean, I met this guy. He's one of the co-creators of Mutants. Yeah, which is another 3-issue miniseries. Yeah, that's the thing about Venom. A lot of the time, these miniseries, with the exception of the original miniseries, a lot of the time these were basically 3 issues. Yep. And Within, this is basically the next one. Yep. Which involves Morbius and Demogoblin. Then we have Venom the Mace, once again by Carl Potts, his second miniseries, and artwork by Liam Sharp. Yep. Which goes to San Francisco once again, just like the original miniseries. And then Howard Mankey, first a couple times actually involved with the character of Venom in the Venom Night of Vengeance miniseries, which was the first 4-issue miniseries since the original one. Which he teams up with the character of Vengeance. Yeah, he would essentially put a character who's like the Ghost Rider, but a much more violent version of the Ghost Rider than what they had in the 90s. And plus, Howard Mankey was the writer of the Ghost Rider title back in the 1980s. And he also created both Dan Ketch, who was a very popular version of the Ghost Rider, along with the character Vengeance, who mainly appeared in the pages of Marvel Comics Presents, but did occasionally appear in the pages of the Ghost Rider book. And we have his follow-up book, which is Separate Anxiety, which Howard Mankey once again gets involved with the thing. And of course, we have Ron Randall doing the artwork. And of course, this miniseries led into his involvement in the storyline known as Planet of the Symbiotes, which, yes, this name was also used for an arc in Guardians of the Galaxy. I should point out, though, prior to this, like about a year prior to this, was basically going on during the Clone Saga. And of course, I almost forgot to mention this. Throughout this time as a recurring character in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, we had a debut of Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, who is a serial killer who basically got his symbiote in a very bizarre way when Eddie Brock broke out of prison, and somehow part of the symbiote was left behind, and somehow that created Carnage. I'm not kidding about this. This was back in Amazing Spider-Man 344, and this led into a 4-parter from 360 to 363, where Spider-Man fought Carnage for the first time. And prior to that, the last time Spider-Man fought Venom, because he fought Venom frequently, he decided to sort of end the rivalry by having basically them live on this island for a little while and having Spider-Man fake his death. Though publicly, Spider-Man is still active, but Venom is on this island for a little while. Of course, brings him back. He admits he lied to him, and then, of course, this later on leads into the first Venom ongoing series. Yes. Carnage himself basically involved in the infamous Maximum Carnage crossover. I'll probably do a follow-up video to discuss more about Carnage, but he's one of the most bizarre characters. Yep. Yeah. And then we have Carnage Unleashed. Speaking of Carnage, yes, this was the first miniseries done by Larry Hama. First of 8. Yes, 8 miniseries. Artwork for this one was done by Andrew Wildman, with the finishes for the first issue by Art Nicholas. And then we have Venom Center All, which had 2 artists in the book, which is a 5-issue miniseries. Yeah, the miniseries, once Larry Hama took over, became much more longer. Yeah, they weren't exactly 3 issues anymore. Nope, they were basically 4, so now we're using 5 issues. Yep, we have great Lozig and Todd Hilson. A lot of the time, these were in fact done by him. We have Venom Long Spider, Venom the Hunted, Venom the Hunger, which is actually not done by him. It was one of like 3 miniseries during this period of time from 1985 to 1988, which is actually the one of 2 not done by him. Yeah, this one's called Venom the Hunger. Yep, Venom the Hunt basically involves New Warriors. We have Tooth and Claw, which is a 3-issue miniseries, which leads into On Trial, which involves the jury of all people. Yep. And we have License to Kill, which is kind of like a spy book. And then we have the second to last miniseries, Venom Side the Boss. This one's not done by Larry Hama. This is done by Ivan Voslik Jr., which is actually the shortest miniseries of this entire series of miniseries. Yep, and then we have Venom Finale, which is a 3-issue miniseries, which kind of ended all Venom miniseries at this point. Now, throughout each of these miniseries, each of these miniseries would develop the character greatly. And after the last Venom miniseries published, from a period of 1990, once the series ended from 1998 to 2003, Marvel did something really dumb with him, because they had developed him as an anti-hero in the 1990s. And then for some strange reason, I have no idea what Marvel did this, because, well, Spider-Man's book got relaunched #1, so let's have Venom reset, become a villain again, a much more evil villain, where he eats the Carnage symbiote. No idea why he did that for. And this, of course, was done by Howard Mankey, of all people, the guy who wrote the third or fourth mini, I think it was the third miniseries. Yeah, this didn't last very long. He was around for a brief period of time as a villain, and then after that, he went back to an anti-hero again, and he got an ongoing story, but anyway. Of course, throughout the period of time he had his miniseries, they revealed he had an ex-wife, Eddie Brock, a woman named Anne Wadden, who was basically in the Venom movie. Yeah, she at one point became She-Venom for a brief period of time. Yes, and then after issue 20, basically at the end of Howard Mankey's run, Venom stopped appearing in the book. Yes. Once basically the storyline with his ex-wife wrapped up, Venom disappeared for a good about 3 years until he popped up in his own ongoing series, which is actually not that bad of an ongoing series. It's not talked about very much. I mean, people talk about other miniseries. Yeah, part of this. I mean, people forget Eddie Brock did have an ongoing series. And then, of course, from 2004 to 2017, for these 13 years, Eddie Brock was not the host symbiote, because after the ongoing series, he had the symbiote removed, and it was revealed he had cancer. And then from 2004 to 2007, like up until Brand New Day, he did virtually nothing. His only appearance was appearing at an auction that sold the symbiote to a gangster's son, which this happened pages of Marvel Knights Spider-Man, which was done by Mark Millar and Terry Dodson, which I have reviewed on this channel. Yep. The guy was the host, and he was kind of interesting, and then, like, he's been in for a little while, and then the jumper between Billy tried to chase down Spider-Man, and then the symbiote abandons him mid-jump, and the guy falls and dies. This guy's never brought up again as a Venom symbiote host, and not long after that, we have Matt Gargan take over as the host of the Venom symbiote from 2005 to 2010. Yep. And what did Eddie Brock do in this period of time? Well, let me think. What did Eddie Brock do? Well, he became anti-Venom. Well, it was revealed in Brand New Day that he has cancer cured by the new villain, Miss Negative, which is Dan Slott character, which Slott frequently uses character sometimes in good stories, and a lot of times really bad stories. And then in the very good New Ways to Die, which is done by Dan Slott and John Romita Jr. of all people, which has Spider-Man fight the freaking Thunderbolts and have Eddie Brock become Anti-Venom for the first time. Yep. And then after this storyline wrapped up, he got his own miniseries as Anti-Venom, popping up also in a story for Spider-Man Extra. And then after that, he popped up in The Return of Anti-Venom. And then, like, right after that, they led to Spiral Island, and that had him lose the symbiote. And then he went nuts, which I'll get to that in a minute. And then pretty much, during the period of time when Matt Gargan was the host of symbiote, the writing for him was so bizarre. Like, having him become a cannibal. Yeah, when he was part of Thunderbolts for a couple years, for about a few years, and then he joined Dark Avengers, where Norman Osborn gave him a drug to slim down the suit from the big bulky Venom look to make him look like the black Spider-Man suit. This lasted for a good year, and then he lost symbiote. The symbiote was removed from him by by the character of Miss Marvel and Spider himself, which kind of also revealed that Miss Marvel which also revealed that Carol Danvers was attracted to Spider-Man, a relationship that went nowhere. Yep. Yeah, this is revealed in the Siege Spider-Man one shot. Yep. And then right after this particular story wrapped up, the symbiote got in the hands of the U.S. government, where it ended up basically in the hands of Flash Thompson, longtime recurring Spider-Man supporting character, making his day back in Amazing Fantasy 15. Been around for a long time. Yeah, in the Amazing Spider-Man 64.1, which is one of 3.1s this series published. The other two involve Michael Morbius of all people. Yep. He becomes the host of Venom symbiote, and he's like this for a good few years. He's basically the host of Venom symbiote from 2011 to 2016. For 5 years, he's the host of Venom symbiote. And then he did a lot. After this point one, he got his own ongoing series as Venom, and a storyline known as Operation Rebirth 2.0, which involved basically become a spy for the government, basically espionage storyline. And then Spider Island got involved, had him fight Eddie Brock, and of course he had beef. Eddie Brock had beef with him because he was the host of Venom symbiote. And after Spider Island, Operation 2.0 was shut down by Steve Rogers. Yeah, because he found out about it, he didn't like it, so he shut the group down. And and all the supporting characters the book had prior to Spider Island, like they had a potential love interest in the book, though his actual girlfriend was Betty Brant this period of time. Yeah, because he hooked up Becca with her. Yeah, and here's the thing. The symbiote also served as Flash Thompson's legs, because they had this thing post one more day during Brand New Day where he went to Iraq and he got his legs blown off. Yep, he did. And he spent a lot of time in a wheelchair, with the exception of him basically wearing the symbiote basically functions as legs. This was like this for a comparative time up until 2013, where he finally got mechanical legs, which he had up until he died, which I'll get to that soon. And then, of course, they had this woman who's sort of like a partner of his, possibly some tracks to them. She gets killed off at the end of the first story arc. Don't know why they introduced her in the point one issue. And then they have her in the series, and then she gets killed off right after that. And then after Spider Island, Flash Thompson steals a motorcycle, goes to Las Vegas in 2 parts on his road trip, and then that leads into the Circular 4 storyline. A storyline that's been virtually ignored by a lot of Marvel comic creators for some stupid reason, which involved the Flash Thompson Venom team up with Red Hulk, the female Ghost Rider, and X-23. This is not a joke. And this also involved Vegas going to hell. One of 2 times this has happened in Marvel comic history. The last time was actually last year in the Doctor Strange Damnation crossover. And both times on friggin' Mephisto. Oh yeah, and the 4 people involved in this crossover all got these marks on their bodies. Yep. Oh, and by the way, the female Ghost Rider, her name is Andrea. Yeah, she only appeared in a short-lived volume for Ghost Rider, which lasted for 9 issues. Yeah, it was an odd volume, and she was a beautiful woman anyways. And then after that series ended, she never appeared in Marvel Comics ever again. As a matter of fact, no comic creators ever bothered to basically bring this up at all. Oh, and the Red Hulk? Yeah, it's Red Hulk, basically. Now, I have a theory of what happened here with Circle 4, is that this is, of course, when the title was written by Rick Remender, of all people. Yes, Rick Remender wrote the title. He was the original writer of the book. And then, he wanted to do this crossover between Venom, Hulk, X-23, and Ghost Rider. It's like he had these scripts planned. He basically wrote them, and he wanted the creators of these 3 other books to be involved in this crossover, but my guess is they all said no. Jeb Parker said no. I don't remember who the writer was, the Ghost Rider, and X-23's writer said no. It was Marjorie Liu. Apparently, they all said no. I'm not sure what happened with this thing, because we had issue 13. And then we had 13.1 to 13.4 for some reason. And everything was wrapped up with issue 14 of Venom, which basically basically set up Flash Thompson joining the Secret Avengers at this point. Yep. And then right after the storyline wrapped up, Now, there was a villain who made his debut in this book back in issue 1, but the character of Jack-O-Lantern, which his real name is Jack, and no, he has nothing very much to do with the other Jack-O-Lanterns, and apparently he killed, it's revealed by him he killed all the other Jack-O-Lanterns. And his real name is Jack, and he's the adopted son of a new crime master. Yes, a third crime master. This one, let's review who he was, which was during a storyline was Savage 6. Yep. And of course, this also follows up some stuff half pages of Punisher of all things, which involves some of the members of the Savage 6, which basically these people are, they are basically a darker version of the Sinister Six. That's simply what the whole point of the Savage Six was. And a lot of these characters have really nothing to do with Venom at all. A couple of them did, but with the exception of Crime Master and Jack-O-Lantern, yeah, these villains are something completely random. Two of them, well, one of them is a guy called Death Adler, and Venom basically kills him right in front of his own sister. How does he kill him? Snapping his neck right in front of her. And this is, of course, right after Death Adler had killed her husband. Right in front of her. And, of course, Flash Thompson, also during this period of time, Flash Thompson's father went in the hospital. His abusive father, mind you. Yeah, went to the hospital and then later died. Yep. And then, of course, during the course of the storyline, it was revealed the Crime Master was actually Betty Brant's dead brother. Who knew? He was Betty Brant's dead brother. No one suspected, because the guy had been dead since the 60s. Yeah, it was revealed he actually faked his death somehow. And then he just became the Crime Master, find this character named Jack, unofficially adopt him, and of course, at the end of the storyline, he gets killed by his own sister. Oh yeah, and here's the thing. How they reveal who the Crime Master is, he's basically standing in front of his sister, takes out his mask like, hey, it's me, your big brother. Yeah, then later on, Betty Brant shoots him. Kills him. Is she charged with murder? Nope. This particular storyline is never brought up by any comic creator. Yep. And then right after this, we had basically a wrap-up stuff with the run which had Flash Thompson joining the Secret Avengers, which Rick Remender would basically continue writing the character up until he left the book. He came in the book with issue 20... I think it was 21. He came in the book with extra 22. He came up with that issue and left for the final issue. And during that book, he developed a relationship between Flash Thompson and Valkyrie. A relationship that went nowhere. Because here's the thing. After Rick Remender left, almost anything he did was ignored by other comic creators. Yep. Now, someone bring up like Flash Thompson relationship with the beautiful Valkyrie. Why is this bringing up by the writers? Oh yeah, no one. It's like it seems like as soon as he left, there was it seems like there's a notion like who cares what Rick Remender did? Let's just focus on other people. Despite the fact Rick Remender was a damn good writer. Yep, and then after he left the book to issue 22, then we had Colin Bunn take out the book, and he decided to do some of the most bizarre things possible, like having a 3-parter called the Monster Society of Evil, which had Damian Hellstrom turn him villainous for some reason, involved with some serial killer stuff. It was an odd storyline. And then then he had a crossover with the Scarlet Spider called Mental Carnage, which basically the ending of this thing set up the Superior Carnage miniseries, which had Flash Thompson and the Scarlet Spider team up to take on Carnage, which had Carnage get lobotomized, and also a fight in the microverse of all places. And then after that, he did some more demon stuff. And then Colin Bunn is like, okay, no more demon stuff. Let's just take this guy out. Let's put this guy in a city that he can identify his own. Let's go to Philadelphia. He also gets his own Venomobile, which I thought was really cool. Yep. And he had a great time. Got his own supporting character named Andy, who later became Mania. Though for some reason, a lot of people thought she was called She-Venom because part of the symbiote, which had the curse mark on it, went on her, and yeah. Then they had this guy called Ogre, who killed himself toward the end of this run, and then basically Venom is asking Mysterio to remove the symbiote, and it was Mephisto, not Mysterio, Mephisto. He says no, and that's the book ends. Yeah, for about 5 years, I never knew the reasoning for canceling this book. I mean, as far as I could tell, it wasn't sales-wise. I'm sure the book was doing really well. And then I found out it was canceled due to petty reasons. Yeah, the reason why the Venom book was canceled, believe it or not, this was the reason why. Because it and Scarlet Spider outsold Superior Spider-Man. That was the reason why the book got canceled. I mean, seriously? Was Slott very petty, so he basically told Marvel editorial, hey, my book is not selling. These two books are outselling my book. Cancel these two books, please. I'm sure that made Colin Bunn and Chris Yost very unhappy because, like, Chris Yost did later did New Warriors. And then, like, right after that, after he did New Warriors, I don't think he ever did book Marvel ever again. Not that I can think of, no. In the case of something like Colin Bunn, he still occasionally writes Marvel, but he wasn't probably petty with he probably wanted anything to do with Dan Slott anyways. Yep. And what happened to Venom after the series ended? Well, he continued to Secret Avengers, and then he moved up to Guardians. Actually, no, his next appearance was actually in Superior Spider-Man in a storyline called Spirit of Venom, which had the symbiote leave Flash Thompson for a few issues, though this arc would basically continue from where the Venom ongoing series ended. Now, here's the thing. The plot point which the ongoing series ended with was not resolved until toward the end of the last to the Venom Space Knight comic book when it ended back in 2016. Yep. So yeah, we have Flash Thompson go to space, become part of the Guardians for a little while, and after part of this group for like a good year. Yeah, for a good like couple years he's part of the group. And then of course after Bendis leaves, he is removed from the roster and never mentioned by the group ever again. And then, of course, he gets an ongoing series, which was a really damn good book written by Robbie Thompson. And he has his own spaceship, gets supporting characters. And then, for some reason, like, okay, the book isn't canceled, so let's have him abandon his supporting cast for no reason. Have him go back to Earth to tie up a loose end for Colin Bunn's run. Where the mark gets removed, and Mania after this particular storyline is never seen again until Venom Inc. Yep, she completely disappears for like a good year. And then, of course, something really strange. Now, also point out, though, the Savage Six, one of the members was Eddie Brock. Yeah, which he had this thing for hunting symbiotes. He killed off a few of them, and then, like, he got killed off, and then somehow he got briefly killed, then he got the toxin symbiote somehow, and then he just like showed up once, a couple times, at least once in Cullen Bunn's when the Savage Six era, and Brock didn't do that much as Toxin. As for how and why the symbiote was Toxin removed, it was never explained. Toxin himself made his debut in a miniseries called Toxin, belonging to a cop. Apparently, some weekend in Vegas caused him to lose symbiote. As for how and why he lost symbiote, has never been explained. Nope. It has never been explained. This happened back in, I believe it was 2012. So it's been 7 years, and no creator at Marvel has ever bothered to explain this. Yep. So, after the Venom ongoing series, which that was really good, had fantastic artwork, loved it. And then the book ended, and then there was an announcement coming out that there was going to be a new symbiote for the host of Venom symbiote. Which I'm thinking, that's weird. Why in the world would Venom have a new host? Oh, in case you wonder what happened at Eddie Brock after his appearance in Venom, well, he didn't do very much after that. I think his next appearance was actually in the Carnage ongoing series, where he was supporting character Nat, lost the symbiote, gave the symbiote to a teenager, and of course captured Carnage the ongoing series. I will give my full thoughts on the ongoing series when I get a chance to get the other stuff. The series was done by Mike Perkins and Jerry Conway. Very fantastic ongoing series. I highly recommend it. Yep. And let's see, what else? And then something really weird happened. After this, the symbiote was mysteriously removed. Yeah, it just randomly showed up some homeless person at the start of the relaunch of Venom. And it got to Lee Pierce. And then after, thinking about it, yeah. The thing with Lee Pierce is, he is by far the most boringest host I have ever seen. Yeah, he's an ex-Army Ranger and he kills people. So what? The run was absolutely boring. The only thing I liked about it was having Mike Gargan in the book. Which he hasn't done very much since he lost the Venom symbiote. Hickey was briefly supporting character in Spider-Man 2099. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then like right after his, by the end of his brief run, the Venom Symbiote was moved from him, and then it got moved back to Eddie Brock. Though they would not explain how the heck this happened, despite the fact when we last saw Flash Thompson, he was running off with the Venom Symbiote. This is not explained until Venom 150. Now, was the story told by Mike Costa, who was the new writer of the Venom comic at that point? Nope. Told by Robbie Thompson in issue 150, where somehow Venom gets a fight with the FBI agents, doesn't like it very much. The symbiote abandons him, and Flash Thompson spends a good bit of time looking for the symbiote. Of course, the book itself also had stories by David, basically a lot of the well-known Venom writers over the years, which was a great celebration for the Venom character. And this book basically will lay the groundwork to having the Marvel comics be restored to triple-digit numbering, a move people have been begging Marvel at the time this happened back in 2017. People begging Marvel for 5 years for this to happen. They pleaded and begged Marvel to bring back the triple-digit numbering because people were getting sick and tired of the relaunches, the constant relaunches every 1 to 2 years, and people thought this would be a big success. The book itself was actually really good. It was a pretty short run. Yeah, stuff like there was sort of like Lethal Predator, fought Hobgoblin, fought the Kingpin during this period of time. And he had 2 crossovers. Yes. Excuse me. The first one was Poison X, which was a follow-up to Venomverse, which was a crossover with X-Men Blue. He also had a crossover with the Amazing Spider-Man called Venom Inc., which did also kind of loosely wrap up some things related to Mike Costa's run, like the whole thing with Lee Pierce. He somehow gets Mini a symbiote. Somehow he beats up the actual host, steals the symbiote, gives pieces of it to. If you look at my full thoughts in this storyline, take a look at my review from my Comic Corner. And then, like, right after the storyline, during the course of the storyline, Flash Thompson gets a new symbiote, becomes Anti-Venom again, and he's Anti-Venom for a few months before he gets killed off in 800 issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which, in my opinion, was one of the stupidest things Dan Slott did for his run. So he ends his run with death of a longtime supporting character. No idea why, he just did. As for Brock himself, well, after the events of this thing, he basically, of course, Mike Costa would not long after this particular event came out, he would wrap up his run and hand off the reins of his book to the current writer, Danny Kozis. The book itself was really good on Mike Costa. There was one disgusting thing I didn't like about it. The implied sexual relationship between Eddie Brock and the symbiote. Here it was. My love's like, I've got back in a relationship. Like if Danny Kozis got rid of this piece of garbage. Don't get me wrong, Mike Costa is a good writer, but the whole implication that Eddie Brock was trying to sleep with a frickin' symbiote, that was absolutely disgusting. It's goo! Why the heck would Mike Costa write Venom this way for? The stories themselves perfectly fine. I had no problem with the stories under Mike Costa. It's how he wrote Venom himself I had a problem with. And of course, the ending of his run would lead into the Venom First Host miniseries, which I had reviewed. That it's a really good. It's a good miniseries. Still has it there, the whole implied sexual stuff between Eddie Brock and the symbiote. Good thing this is dropped after the first issue. It's still kind of there, but not heavily. Yep. And then like this, of course, would be Mike Costa's last story he would do for the Venom ongoing series, and of course it got relaunched by, of course. Yeah. Of course, this will lead to the current run by Danny Kozis, which is a very good run. I highly recommend it. Yep. I own the first trade for it, and he also and for some reason Danny Kozis made the Maker a supporting character. Of course, there's references to other Venom work, which is really nice. There's references to how about Jason Aaron's Avengers run. Yeah, really good stuff. Now what happens to the other host? Well, Matt Gargan basically back being Scorpion, and he was still keeping Scorpion this very day. Flash Thompson, of course, died, and of course, it's implied he came back in the pages of Venom because the Venom suit apparently keeps all DNA. And it was also the little Guk stuff was actually somehow how Mako was able to track Venom. Yeah, not much else to say. Venom is a great character. There's a lot of really good books over the years, and it's a good thing Marvel's collected a lot of his work. Like, there's two really big trades I highly recommend. Get Spider-Man Birth Venom and Adventures of Venom, because I collect a lot of this early stuff, and of course collect all the Venom miniseries, which I think the Marvel has loosely started to collect those in trade. All the Venom ongoing series have been collected in trade from the 2003 up until recently. Everything's been collected, so don't have to worry about that. Yeah. So yeah, not much else to say. Venom is a great character. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. I've got this video. I have no other videos planned for today, but this is the one I wasn't really expecting doing, but I kind of figured out why not do it because, well, Venom's one of my favorite characters. And he's as old as me. Go figure. My mother doesn't like the character very much due to the fact Venom is freaking a symbiote. See, this is disgusting. And I have seen the Venom movie. And of course, Venom is featured frequently outside the comics, featured in like every single Spider-Man cartoon since the '90s cartoon. Appeared in Spider-Man 3 in a very mixed way, though how Eddie Brock became Venom was very good, and of course, the Venom movie was actually awesome. Okay, so until I see you on my next video, bye.